Hey, the Slant Route podcast, ready for week 3, 49ers and Rams. Two teams that they have been riddled with injuries. Man. So both teams are coming off losses, and both teams are going to hopefully play about as hard as they've possibly played this week or this season. So just going off of that, the 49ers are going to be without Deebo Samuel and, of course, CMC. It's looking like George Kittle and Charvarius Ward aren't going to be playing either, or at least they're going to have some limited playing time. It is also, though, some good news that Talanoa Funga may be coming back, which is good. But we don't know where exactly he is. I mean, he could be 100%, but in terms of actually football ready and all that stuff, we'll see. I'm sure he'll be starting, so we'll see about that. But I wanted to read off the Rams injuries here. So they're going to be without Cooper Kupp. It's looking like, and Puka Nacua is on IR, so he won't be playing. Tight end Davis Allen is out, and this is from 3 days ago. So a lot of this could have changed. Who knows? But Tyler Higbee is on the pup. I believe, though, I think I heard that their starting left and right tackles are going to be playing. But I believe some of their interior linemen will not be. So their line is 100% either. But their defensive lineman, Laurel Murchison, IR, cornerback Darius Williams on IR, their kicker, Joshua Carty, groin injury. So, I mean, they have a lot of injuries over there with on the Rams side. So, with the 49ers, and since they're not going to have Deebo and obviously no CMC, and George Kittle and Charvarius Ward are either not going to play or they're going to be on limited playing time, it's going to be a tough matchup. And the funny thing too about this is that I've seen a lot of people on Twitter saying, "Well, this is a chance for Brock Purdy to really prove that he's a good quarterback because he's had he's had the Avengers and everything like that." And I mean, with the Jets game, they had no CMC, and he did pretty well. And even in the Vikings game, I mean, wasn't a perfect game. I would probably give him like a C plus. Like Brock Purdy wasn't amazing. I mean, you could make an argument because I did break it down on the last when I was reacting to the game, where you could make an argument that Brock Purdy was at least partially the reason that he got sacked because he was holding the ball too long, like a second or two too long. He wasn't maneuvering out of the pocket like he usually does. I'm not saying he should just get out of the pocket after 1 second, but it didn't seem Brock Purdy-ish, I guess, like Brock Purdy-esque. So I'm hoping that he'll do a little more of that, a little more maneuvering, some of the things that he's good at because, he's out of the pocket. He's pretty good when he goes out of the pocket and he can make some plays. I think he needs to use his – I think this is a game where he will rush for 20 yards or something like that. I think he should use his leg, especially if it's like a third down, like a 3rd and 4, and he sees his open field. Just run the ball. Like, don't even worry about throwing it if you feel like there's a contested throw. Like, just run it. I mean, you did that against the Lions last year in an NFC Championship game. There was like a handful of plays where he just ran the ball and kept the chains moving. So he needs to do that. I think he needs to do more of that. And again, with Deebo out, I think this is going to be a time for Jacob Cowan to show what he can do. I think he's going to have to be playing for sure. And Chris Conley's probably going to be in as well. And, Chris Conley, he's had a few good catches, especially last year. And there was one, I believe, in the Super Bowl, especially in the playoffs. He did pretty well. But he's got to show up in this game as well. But the main thing, too, with the 49ers offense is Brandon Ayuk has to be a game where he comes out and just balls out, like this completely dominates. He needs to show that. I know the first 2 weeks seemed like, I was kind of quiet. I wasn't really doing a whole lot. But this game, I think he needs to have at least 5 catches, right? And a touchdown. He's got to get a touchdown pass this game, right? Like he has to be a red zone threat, or at least get a touchdown. Just one touchdown, Brandon. Come on. Do it for the fans. Let's go. And with George Kittle possibly not playing, Eric. So one of the things that I thought was really interesting is that Eric Sober apparently has the most, if I remember the stat correctly, because I don't have it in front of me, he had the most separation. Now I'm not saying it's because he's so good at getting away from the defender when he's running routes or anything like that. It could just be that everybody was focusing on Ayuk and Debo and George Kittle, that Eric Sober was kind of just the odd man out. Like, oh, Eric, whatever. Eric Sober, who cares? Maybe this would be a game that he has a touchdown. Bold prediction, I think Eric Sober is going to catch a touchdown pass. I know it's going to be crazy, but I think that might happen. You never know. And the one thing, though, that I am worried about, and I think this has been something that a lot of people have been saying about the 49ers team, especially under Kyle Shanahan, their offensive line. Now, I do have this up here. So on defense, the one thing about the Rams that I've seen being said a lot is they're not that great against the run. Compared to the 49ers have allowed 214 yards after 2 games of rushing. Los Angeles Rams, 394. So just off of that stat alone, you'd probably expect Jordan Mason to get 80 to 110 rushing yards. I mean, that's kind of a big, first stat to second stat, 80 to 110 yards. You would think Jordan Mason's going to have a big day is what I'm trying to say, right? Passing yards, 458. Now, the 49ers have 455. However, one of those, of course, was the Justin Jefferson 97-yard touchdown pass. I mean, that's going to make your stats look like crap anyway. If you give up a near 100-yard touchdown pass, it's not going to make your stats look good. So the Rams aren't that great against the run. So you would expect, again, keyword, expect the 49ers to run the ball a lot. But another bold prediction, this is going to sound crazy, but I bet the first 6 plays, we'll say, 5 of them are going to be a pass. Just watch. Oh, you expect me to run the ball? Kyle Shanahan's like, oh, I know you guys are bad against the run. You expect me to run? How about this? How about 2 quick slants up the middle? How about that? Yeah, you weren't expecting that. How about a screen pass? You weren't expecting that. Just run the ball. How many times do we have to say run the ball? Like, how many times? Kyle, they're not good against the run. Attack the run. Attack the rushing defense. Is that too much to ask? I don't know. Maybe it is. So if they can just play complementary football, I think they have a chance. I think the 49ers are expected to win this game. I do predict that they will win. I did hear, I heard that the coach thinks that the Rams will win, and I definitely respect that opinion because you never know. I would say, just as a scoring prediction, I think this could be a game where, because they're in the same division, they know each other well, and he's played well. Brock Purdy has played well against the Rams. I would probably say it's like 33-16, somewhere in there. I can see that happening. 33-16 is going to be my final score prediction. So going back to the stats here, offense, the 49ers are totaling 398.5 yards after two games, averaging 398.5 yards a game. And the Los Angeles Rams are at 316 yards after 2 games. 515 yards passing for the 49ers and 282 yards rushing for them. And the Rams are at 496 yards passing, 136 yards rushing. So again, according to this, just from the stats, the Rams aren't that great running the ball. They're just averaging 68 yards a game. So if the rushing defense, that is another concern too with the 49ers, the rushing defense has been, they were able to hold Breece Hall pretty well. And the Vikings, it was like a little iffy with them. But if they can hold the Rams to around that area, 60 yards rushing. Now, Matthew Stafford is a very capable quarterback. I mean, he's able to throw down the field. He's able to kill you with his throws. If they can limit that, they have a good chance. I mean, I did say 33-16, so I would think that they can do that, but you never know. Now, with the Rams, what they can do is, like I said, if they are able to attack the 49ers run defense and make the 49ers run defense look like absolute crap, to slice them like butter. There you go. Right through the middle, go through the A and B gaps, you're good. Maybe you can try that. Because if you're without Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, you would think, oh, well, then that's it. But what was the guy's name? Winnington? I heard someone talk about Winnington is an X factor. So watch out for that guy. I hope I got his name right. Hope people know who I'm talking about if they're listening to this. Winnington. So watch out for that guy. Do not take this offense lightly because they don't have two of the best players on their offense. Do not take them lightly. I know probably no one's watching this. You don't know who I am, but don't take this offense lightly. Because the Rams just got destroyed by the Cardinals. So they're pissed off. They're going to want to come in, go back home and show, oh, we're actually a good team. And especially against the 49ers, who are predicted to at least make the Super Bowl, at least make the playoffs. Can you imagine the panic button? If like I said, the 49ers lose this game right now, the panic button's like at a 3. The panic meter is at a 3. If they lose this game, it's at a 6. And all the Brock Purdy naysayers who think he's not a good quarterback, he shouldn't get paid. If they lose this game, they're going to go to the, oh, well, he didn't have D. You can't make any more excuses. It doesn't matter if he doesn't have Debo and CMC and George Kittle. It doesn't matter. You're the quarterback of the offense. You still have to be able to get it to your receivers and your running backs. You still have to. And I did show a little bit of that watching the film when I was showcasing, or when I was watching the clip that Jesse Naylor had put together of all the clips of him getting sacked, Brock Purdy. There were times where guys were wide open in front of his face. And there were times too where the check down was right there. Take the check down, Brock. It's okay. I know people are saying, oh, you're a dink and dunk. People were criticizing, oh, Jimmy Garoppolo just dinks and dunks, whatever. Okay, Brock, we know you like to go over the middle. We know you like to go about 10 to 20 yards. That's fine. You can still do that. But if you see a guy wide open in front of your face, throw it to him. It's okay. Especially if there was that one play against the Vikings where, who was it? I can't remember off the top of my head, but there was someone who was wide open. It was like right in front of it could have been Jordan Mason, if I remember correctly. It could have been him or Juszczyk. Guy was wide open right in front of his face. And if he had caught that, he could have at least ran for another 5-10 yards. At least. I mean, don't be afraid to take the check down. Don't be afraid to take the easy target, the easy money throw. It's okay. You don't have to always go for the contested throw. It's fine. Don't try and be more than you are. I know you want to be, you're trying to showcase that you can be a gunslinger. You're trying to showcase you being a playmaker. We've seen you we've seen you make plays. We've seen you be a playmaker. We know that you're good. Just, if you see Chris Conley wide open, throw it to him. If you see Eric Solbert wide open, throw it to him. Don't try and go, oh, Brandon Ayuk's there and there's 3 guys on him. I'll throw it to him. Don't do that. Don't do that. Your chances of making that catch and that throw, not good. There was some stat that I heard too about him where apparently he's number 1 in like catches made with, what was it, like 1 yard of separation or something, like with the least amount of separation. He's the one with number 1 or something. I hope I'm getting that right. I'm not just getting it out of my ass. I'm pretty sure that's a stat where he was like number 1 in contested throws completed or something. I mean, that's great. Like, that's fine. You can prove that you've proven you can get into the really, really small windows, but the amount of, I think it was like aggressive throws or something like that. I can't remember what the stat was off the top of my head, but it was some crazy stat that I couldn't even believe. And again, the fact that Brock Purdy is number 1 in passing yards, it's just it's crazy. Like, you couldn't even if you had told me that Brock Purdy was number 1 in passing yards, I wouldn't have believed you. It's crazy. And again, it's only 2 weeks, so who knows? Maybe by like week 10, he'll be like number 15. I don't know. Who knows? Um, but apparently passing yards and passing in general, passing plays have been down this year, which is kind of interesting. Uh, so yeah, the 49ers are going to LA, SoFi. And as many people who are Niners fans know, that's basically Levi South. Apparently, it's supposed to be like over 60% in the stadium is supposed to be Niners fans. Look, LA and the Rams organization, if your home stadium is more fans from the away team, I think it's time to reconsider where your team is. Send it back to St. Louis. They have the Cardinals, St. Louis Cardinals, but once they had the St. Louis Rams were beloved there. Why did you get rid of them? I guess because LA, right? Because LA is well, that's not true now. Because if it's going to be more away team fans, it's not a good look. It's like if every time the 49ers would play Levi Stadium and 65% was Cowboys fans, not good. Not good. So that's another thing, some random tangent I'm going off. Hey, the Rams, go back to St. Louis and let's let the Chargers be a laughing stock in LA. Let them do that. I know they're 2-0 right now, but still. Let them be the laughing stock in LA. Or maybe go to Utah. I don't know. Maybe Utah should have a football team. I don't know, whatever. I mean, they just have a hockey team now. They're getting a hockey team. They're basically taking it from Arizona and going up a state. So do that. Maybe go to Utah. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, 33-16 is my final score prediction. I do think that this could be a game that Brock Purdy will either, and I do think that's another narrative that isn't 100%. I don't think this has to be this is the game that Brock Purdy proves he can be the guy, the quarterback. I think he's proven for the most part that he's a very good quarterback. I mean, they didn't have CMC they didn't have CMC against the Vikings, and they were this close from winning the game. I mean, it easily could have been worse than that because if Fred Warner had punched that ball out near the end zone, who knows what the score could have been? It could have been like 35-17 for all we know. But yeah, I think this isn't 100%. Oh, Brock Purdy's got to be lights out in this game and all that stuff. No, I just think he needs to play well. Don't make any mistakes. Throw it to the playmakers. Don't try. I know that Brock Purdy does like to be aggressive, and that's fine. But sometimes it's starting to get to the point now where you're kind of thinking, "Uh-oh." I don't want to have that feeling where every time, like when Jimmy Garoppolo threw the ball, like, I don't want that feeling. I don't really have that feeling, but kind of it's kind of like inching its way in. You're thinking, uh-oh. You don't want that feeling whenever a quarterback is throwing the ball. So yeah, that's just a quick preview of the 49ers against the Rams, and we'll see if they bounce back. The 49ers will bounce back after getting beat by the Vikings. So it's either that or the Rams will avoid going 0-3. We'll find out. We will find out. All right. Thanks so much for watching and listening, and hope you enjoy the game.